Hello everyone, 4.10 is now a public PTU and it has dynamic server meshing for Siege of Ryzen. Here we have a posting on r/citizen by Stuart GT, Phil CRG. Instancing uses parts of the dynamic server meshing tag to assign you to a different server for that instance. A screenshot with Salty Mike playing, and here's Phil CRG who came into his stream. I think we need a post explaining this, but instancing uses parts of the dynamic server meshing tag to assign you to a different server for that instance. You can see this when entering the instance. The dedicated game server will change. This is not the interesting point. The interesting point is there are lots of issues with instancing and star/citizen. Our personal hangars are instanced, but they quite often overlap. This can lead to your ship get stored and you can lose your cargo. So you have one big cargo elevator. Okay, what happened now? What is this? I didn't spawn the pieces. Okay, I'm confused. Anyway, you might get some vehicles inside. Okay, are now pieces left. I guess 2 hangars overlapped. Okay, that's too funny. And now it turns out instancing in Siege of Ryzen isn't any better.
There is desync, yeah.
We have 2 things,
right back.
even in instances, and his party members cannot see Salty Mike.
Like the last time we played, my teammates couldn't see me. Yep, there you go. Kraken said I'm invisible to him.
Yeah, Kraken cannot see Salty Mike.
I know we're from different parts of the world, but...
And this is an instance. So it's not much better than what we have on live.
But it's for now.
You know what? I'm sick of watching inept dipshits.
Many people thought instancing might save star/citizen, because in instances we shouldn't have do things and NPC AI should be much better. Of course, this is only a 4.10 PTU build, this might not go to life like that, but seeing in what story state instancing is in star/citizen I have my doubts it will be any better when 4.10 is on live. Even in instances we have two things, we have party members not being able to see each other, and we have very bad NPC AI. This is what CRG told us about the NPC AI at CitizenCon 2023.
So when we play a game, we want you to spend the time that feels memorable, that feels special, right? Something you can remember and talk about. So we want you to give you a challenge to overcome, but also a challenge that is fun and doesn't feel repetitive and boring. So when we look at FPS encounter, we want to build variety. We want to give the designers, like Zach, the ability to craft combat scenarios, not just to put NPC in the level. And we need to make sure that he can tweak something such that he can experience the unique play style and the play space that you have. So Star Citizen can benefit from tons of unique environments. So for those environments, we want you to have different type of fun. So what we look at today is some of the tools that they have to achieve this goal and bring the AI to the next level. So the first tool we're going to look at today is the NPC trait system. So we spoke about this in the past, and we have now available for designers the initial set of traits they can use to influence the behaviors. So those are some of the ones that are available to the designers. Today we're going to focus on the combat traits, because we have traits that also apply to the peaceful situation and the social environment, but those are the ones that influence NPCs during a combat scenario. And traits, you can imagine them as characteristics NPCs have or don't have. So through the usage, we can make sure the combat feels different from one encounter to another. Traits in tech-wise, are just traits and tags that we can apply to character instance, character classes, but code can also apply them automatically based on specific rules. For example, if you see somebody with a rocket launcher, those will apply, an example, the sentry trait automatically, because those weapons are weapons that work well at range, so you want them to not push forwards to you. So they allow to block, or actually, they allow or they block specific section of the behaviors to run, but they also influence the likelihood of some logic to happen, or they modify the outcome of specific actions. So let's imagine we want to model a pirate faction. something that you can actually experience in the Pyro playground. So we want them to feel aggressive, but also not very trained. They are not very military. So how do we do it with the traits? We can start adding to this faction either the aggressive or reckless trait. Those are traits that increase the risky behaviors. So for example, fighting more in open space or expose themselves longer when they are in cover. We can then assign to some of those pirates the ignore fire obstruction trait. As you've seen, for example, in Chris Rain's presentation during the CTG demo, like we have now destructible environment. So what the NPC will try to do is to keep shooting at the position the enemy has been hiding into. So you will see destroying environment, but you will also see them being less careful and managing their ammos. For others, we could use the undisciplined trigger finger trait. So this trait is, for example, meant to convey the inability to control their weapon when they are emotionally engaged in the fight. And what it will cause is them to trigger the weapon much longer also just a bit longer compared to what the behavior is asking. So being better at preserving their ammo means they will also run out of bullets much quicker. So this offers interesting opportunities for players because they can now shoot at them while they reload or while they scavenge the environment. So traits are building blocks we can use to define how character, faction, or encounter should feel.
I really don't understand why CRG is making fancy graphics, fancy videos for their shows, and then almost 3 years later, the game is still in a very, very sorry state when it comes to NPC AI. See, for example, this epic boss fight. Data posting by Stuart GT, epic boss fight, Siege of Orison, instanced.
Go ahead. No matter what you do, Nine Tails have already won. I'll cover you.
This boss fight is really lame, and NPCs are repeating the same voice lines over and over again. Actually, this reminds me of this. This pretty much means CRG is showing us fancy graphics in their shows, and then almost 3 years later, we have nothing of this in the game now. Zombies said it perfectly, been saying this for years, even a perfect server load environment, for example offline single player, the NPC AI in Star Citizen is absolutely terrible. Yeah, we are seeing this now in instances in Siege of Orison on the current 4.10 PTU. What does this tell us about NPC AI in Squadron 42? Will it be any better there? Of course, Squadron 42 is a single player game which is heavily scripted. Still, I fear we have the same terrible NPC AI in Squadron 42. Maybe this is a reason why Chris is using the GTA 6 release as an excuse to postpone Squadron 42, and then next year GTA 6 will most likely come to PC, so Chris has an excuse to delay Squadron 42 again. By the way, we have no sniper clint even on underbarrel attachments. Look at this.
Why have you not killed me? Why did you not kill me? Why did you not even try?
Because NPC AI is terrible in the game. So this is what you get as NPC AI in the game in year 14 after more than $1 billion in funding. Not only is the AI terrible, the combat logic is ass. For example, they don't actually aim, each bullet has a percentage chance to hit when fired, so the cannon will absolutely laser you from extreme range with a pulverizer C59 gun with extreme recoil if you have bad enough RNG. They turn instantly, literally, if they are facing 180 degrees from you and they detect you, they don't turn to face you, they just face you. Like their face and back of the head just instantly swap. This depends on when the detection logic notices a player relative to its overall logic. If you run at them and their aim logic requires that they miss that shot, you may see them suddenly turn away from you in order to make the miss. They have infinite ammo. They do not sustain injuries. They don't get a bleed out. They detect players through solid objects and walls as well as opaque foliage. They don't really respond to sound. They can only use their equipped weapon. They only just started using grenade launchers. They can't really handle when players are in ground vehicles. They can't handle when players are in ships and they are not. They can't get out of a ship seat if you board their ship. They can breathe in any atmosphere. They cannot die to heat cold. They cannot EVA. They cannot drive ground vehicles. They cannot leave enter planet Atmo. They cannot board your ship if it's open, at least not intentionally. They seldom know how to open doors. They absolutely spam the shit out of meaningless voice lines, entirely disconnected from whatever actions they are doing, experiencing. Yeah, this last part I find absolutely annoying. NPCs are repeating the same voice lines over and over and over again. Does anyone at CRG really think this is immersive? This is the absolute opposite of immersive. This is just brain dead. Either NPCs should be quiet, or if they say something, it should be meaningful, not repeating the same voice lines over and over and over and over again. If CRG had been working on NPCs for only 2 years, I would understand. If it had been 5 years, I would be like, what the actual fuck are they doing? But it's been 12 to 13 years of NPC dev. And this is what they have. So I don't really have a reaction anymore. And again, what does this tell us about the state of Squadron 42? I guess Squadron 42 has the same brain dead NPC AI. Doesn't make me very hopeful. And I waffled so much I forgot a point, which is that instancing will finally demonstrate the shortcomings of the NPCs so that everyone can understand and see it. I think this is the main point. Instancing will not save Star Citizen. I'm not opposed to instancing, it can work very well in games, but not if it's that bad like it is in Star Citizen at the moment. And what really concerns me is that we have the same brain-dead NPC AI in instances, and most likely in Squadron 42 as well. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye! Auf Wiedersehen! Okay, now we have a secondary explosion and now everything is destroyed. But Flicker is fine. Flicker is moving around. Flicker didn't take any damage. Okay. Why? Flicker was standing in the middle and didn't take any damage.
Not because our physics code is terrible, and in fact, it's great.
Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter or on Blue Sky.